Okay, joining us today on Phoenix TV is none other than number 11 for the Manchester Phoenix, Brian Passmore.
How you doing today, Andy?
I'm okay, mate. Okay, Brian, we're a couple of months into the season now, and I guess the burning question on everybody's mind in respect of your good self is, there you are on the line with Joe and Tony, you're working your socks off and the goals aren't coming. How difficult is it for a goal scorer to go through the kind of lean period that you've been having?
Yeah, it's been difficult, especially early on in the season. The last few games, I felt like I've been getting more opportunities and putting them in the net. I think 3 goals in the last 5 games. But I mean, it's difficult when the other teammates on your line want the puck all the time, and you know we're trying to share it around as much as we can. But it's just been unbelievable. Joe Tolleri has been on a scored pace, scoring wise, and I've just been trying to get him the puck, and Tony as well. He can bury the puck in tight when he gets the opportunity as well.
It's not as if there's a shortage of points for you either, is it? I mean, it's like you say, you've got 3 goals in the last 5 games, I think 4 for the season so far, but you've got a whole host of assists as well. Is that a kind of, does that soften the blow of not actually scoring the goals yourself?
Yeah, for sure. As long as we're out there scoring, and it doesn't really matter who scores the goals, but as long as we're creating opportunities and trying to help this team win, and that's our job, and we realize that. I think actually we're one of the top lines in the league when we're on our game, and just right now it just seems like we're really clicking, and it just seems if we can all continue playing with confidence, then we'll continue scoring.
Exactly, confidence is the key, isn't it? And I think everybody saw in the game in Ice Sheffield, or it was a game that the Phoenix lost to Sheffield, but when you got your 2 goals, I think everyone could see the buzz that you got from scoring, and it obviously gave you a lift on the night.
Yeah, any hockey player, I love to score goals, and you could say there was a monkey or an elephant on my back. I was thinking about it quite often, and we had a little break the week before, and I just kind of mentally regrouped with myself and just worked hard in practice, and finally one went in for me, and that's just all you need as a confidence builder, just to keep it going like that.
Well, let's hopefully the goals will come a bit more regularly for you, and boost the scoring line with Joe and Tony, because it is a very potent line, as you said. Have you played on a line that's had quite that kind of offense before?
No, actually, I've the last couple of years I've been counted on to score most of the goals for my line, but it just seems like this year any one of us could score. I mean, I've had my chances early on in the season, and I was hitting crossbars and posts and missing open nets. It just seemed like I was just thinking about it before I even got to my stick, the puck. So I mean, now I'm just kind of relaxing out there, and I'm understanding how to play with Tony and Joe a lot better, and I'm playing the right side now, which means I can come in on my forehand and shoot. So, I mean, I'm adjusting still, but, I mean, I'm just trying to work as hard as I can, and if you're not working hard, you're not getting chances, then you'd think there's something wrong with you.
Sure. Let's take a little step back in your career now, Brian. Originally from Mississauga in Ontario, and I guess the one name that's always associated with Mississauga is Don Cherry. Did you ever come across him in your time?
Yeah, he was always out at a couple of the minor tournaments growing up, and I never spoke with him, actually. He was always just a figure up in the stands, and everyone knew when he was there. And, for him to give you a compliment on TV or something, it never happened with me, but, I mean, it was pretty something. He owned the Ice Dogs, an Ontario Hockey League franchise team there, and he was looked up to in the newspapers and around town quite often.
Because he is, shall we say, something of a character in Canadian hockey circles, isn't he?
Definitely. I mean, if you consider Hockey Night in Canada, you'd think Don Cherry, Ron McLean, and I've grown up watching him since I was a little kid. I mean, just his Rock'em Sock'em videos where he shows all the highlights, bloopers, and he has a love for the game, and the way he comments on it, it just relates to, the physicalness and the old-time hockey, which is something that a lot of people here in England would appreciate as well.
Exactly, and you talk about Don Cherry commentating on the game, and of course this season with the Phoenix, you've actually got behind the microphone yourself on a couple of occasions. Are you enjoying that?
Yeah, actually, it's a great experience. I'm just trying to, it's following the play, doing the highlights. It's sometimes it's quite funny, but I mean, I've made a few mistakes doing it. I like doing it a lot, and I'm learning as I go.
And it adds to the occasion as well, doesn't it? Because you're able to watch yourself. You find it a bit difficult commentating on a play that you're actually involved in yourself?
Yeah, so you don't want to get too down on yourself. You don't want to get too high on yourself. But, I mean, a few times we've thrown in a few chirps about the boys in there, just saying that if they made a turnover or a bad play. But there's been a lot of good plays on the highlights, and I appreciate saying good things about the guys. And myself, I just say, "Oh, nice pass," and just carry on.
Going back in your career again, you were drafted by the Minnesota Wild in 2002, I believe it was.
2000. It was, and I was 20 years old when I was drafted. It was my last year junior, and I had a really good playoffs for my club. And a couple of scouts invited me to the Edmonton Oilers camp, and I had a good camp there, and I came back for my last year of junior. And the head scout from Edmonton ended up going to the expansion Minnesota Wild. And they interviewed me after the season, and they said they were going to draft me. I didn't really believe it at the time, because you can never really believe what clubs are thinking, because on draft day in the NHL, anything could happen. And it just so turned out that they weren't lying. They did phone me up at home, and I was drafted. So that was my opportunity there to go to Minnesota, and if things didn't work out, they didn't want to sign me, so I went to the college route.
How disappointing was that, Brian? Because obviously as a Canadian growing up playing hockey, it's everybody's dream to play in the NHL.
Yeah, that was a terrible blow. I worked hard all summer, went to camp in good shape, and it was just a step back for me going to college in Canada. And my school was paid for throughout my junior hockey team that paid for it. But it was a step back, and I wasn't too happy at the time. But I love hockey, and I just wanted to continue playing and play at the highest level I could.
And of course, in the last couple of years, you've been over in Europe previously. You had a stint in Norway, I believe.
Yeah, Norway was quite an experience. The climate change there was definitely, it's colder than Canada. I can remember on Halloween last year there was about a foot of snow, so kids don't go trick-or-treating there. And just the different lifestyle. And hockey was a much more different pace of game. I could just remember little things like you'd have a 3-on-2 offensive rush, and they'd want to turn it back and regroup with the defenseman. So it was quite frustrating at times. And other than that, they're good skaters, and they're terrific athletes.
And that brings you to the UK this year. And overall, aside from the not scoring as much as you'd personally like to, are you enjoying life in the Elite League?
Yeah, I am actually. It's each team's got 2 or 3 good lines, and the defense are quite solid. I mean, if you don't come up and show up and move your feet every night, that's when you could be down 2 or 3 goals after the first period. We've come out this year, and we've kept games close, and we've just lost a few by 1 goal. But I've enjoyed it so far, and now we just got to get back on our winning ways, and I'd be even more happier.
I guess the one downside has to be sharing an apartment with Brett Cloutier.
Yeah, we get along pretty good. Brett, he's a big guy, and he's sitting back there laughing at me right now. But he drives me around. He's taught me how to drive around, and we talk a lot about hockey and other things. But we get along pretty good.
Excellent. Brian Passmore, many thanks for joining us on Phoenix TV.
Thank you.